Dynasty Show live Sunday nights. Hammer and Stevie B in the building.
Yes, sir. In the house.
What's good, Hammer? You missed Thursdays on 420 Hustler Network, so we missed you.
Yeah. I had little wifey situation, getting her acclimated to a new job. She wasn't feeling well, but I'm back in the building. How'd it go? How was it?
Oh, it was good. I mean, I had it was me for a little bit, and then Bogey hopped on, and Hush
Nice.
hopped on, so it was the three of us, and we talked about some of the free agency stuff that was happening at that time.
Mm-hmm.
What a kind of what where we see those players and the values and stuff like that. So it was a good
Mm-hmm.
little value thing going over a few things, but
There's definitely been some news since then, since Thursday. So there's definitely
yeah,
good stuff
well,
to
I
dig
mean, yeah,
into.
I mean, we'll talk about a little bit of everything. I mean, I guess the most recent was my boy Adam Thielen going over now to the Panthers. That just happened.
I found that to be a bit of an interesting move, considering he's a veteran. That's putting it lightly. On essentially what's a rebuilding team. So I don't know what that fit looks like. I think he would have been a little bit better on maybe like a winning team as their third wide receiver type deal. But he was probably looking for another, payday of sorts before he kicks it. So it'll be interesting to see. I don't think he's much of a factor, um,
Well,
fantasy wise.
I think we wanted him to go to more of a contender.
Yeah,
As
that's fair.
fantasy players and dynasty
Mm-hmm.
owners and stuff like that. Um, Which you would think like he would want to do that and want to try and win, but he also is, he's a guy that is, from Minnesota, worked his way up, undrafted dude, and maybe he's just at the point in his career where, especially on that team where they're gonna bring in a rookie QB, maybe he can just be that veteran wide receiver that that rookie can lean on and learn from and stuff. So I mean, I think
Yeah,
for their team, it makes sense. Maybe not so much as what we think for Adam Thielen, but for the team perspective, I think it makes sense for them to go out and get a veteran guy.
yeah,
Um,
it just didn't make a whole lot of sense for me, even from Thiel's standpoint, for even and also from Carolina. Like, he we don't know what their quarterback situation is, obviously, and we're not sure, you know, what the rest of their route. They traded away DJ Moore, obviously, so he profiles essentially. I know they have what's the guy's name? Marshall? Was it TJ Marshall? I don't remember.
Terrence
Terrence
Marshall, yeah.
Marshall. So I know they have Terrence Marshall, who's a pretty solid guy, but we still don't know what he is given the full, that number one kind of role. So it'll be interesting to see, but I don't think Adam Thielen is fantasy relevant anymore.
No, no, it was bad that he went there for fantasy wise. I don't think
Right.
it's going to be good. I think it's more of a better for the NFL and for the team kind of thing than it is for anything else that really we care about.
Right.
But yeah, Kevin, what up, Kev? What's good, Kevin?
Kev
Marty,
in the
what's up, yo?
building.
What up, Marty? What's good, yo?
Yeah, there was also really quick. I know we don't talk about defense a ton,
Nah, go ahead.
um,
We can
but
still talk about D.
CJ Gardner Johnson went to Detroit, which was
I
really
saw that.
interesting.
I saw
Yeah,
that. I
that was
saw
really
that.
interesting as well. So interesting signing for them. I think the Lions are really making a push to that division is wide open now. That no more Aaron. It appears anyway. We still,
Yeah.
nothing's official, but no more Aaron. We're gonna see what the Bears trade their number one pick. It looks like they're trying to load up and around Justin Fields. Minnesota was kind of fraudulent last year, as we know, and
Your mouth. Better watch your mouth.
and the Lions really look like they got something really nice going there, and they add a prime time
Or garbage.
defensive
How
guy.
dare you?
I just thought I'd slide that in there, but yeah,
Pack was straight trash. That was very disrespectful.
it was, but it wouldn't be me if I wasn't disrespectful to the
Listen, man.
Vikings.
All right, y'all got Jordan Love at QB now. No, I mean, yeah, the Lions. We'll talk about the Lions in a second. But yeah, Marty says he's trying to come off B Cooks today. Yeah, I mean, I posted on Instagram today. There was a video I put out right after like the season. 2 months ago. A guy that you could probably get for relatively cheap, and a guy that's probably going to be traded to a good team that can give you some
Mhm.
value, or
And
at
that's
least
exactly
you
what
buy
happened.
him, to just capitalize on the value and get off him like you're trying to do right now. Mostly. So it's if you were able to buy him for like a third, now you can sell him for like a late second. So it's
Mhm.
you know, um, so I like it. I like it for Cooks. I mean, I'm sure I'll get another 1,000-yard season. I don't know. You know, he could probably be a back end wide receiver too. I mean,
I would agree.
it's kind of
He
like
seems like a he
where I
seems like
have
a
him.
really good flex play, like a every
That's
week
like
flex play.
yeah, 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 and that's like the ceiling. Like I don't think he could be high end wide receiver too. I mean, maybe
Mm-mm.
mid, but I do like it for him. I like it for Dak. I mean, he's going to throw the ball anyway. That team always has a top 5 offense. So,
He's a professional receiver. It's a solid fit. It's a really solid fit. I like it
yeah.
actually.
Now, I would have liked if they went somebody like younger. Like there was talks about like the Jerry Judy, like that would have got me excited. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Or even
No, I,
Thielen would have been nice down there too.
I love the fit, man. I really do.
But I like it.
I love the fit a lot. I think, and we've seen Brandon Cooks produce with a lot less than Dak Prescott and what that offense is going to be able to give you. So I like the fit a lot. I think he'll have a solid season. I don't know how great, but if you can sell him and somebody's going to give you anything in the second round, take it.
Yeah, definitely. Which tight end is a good fit in Cincy? A lot of visits this week. Are you talking about rookies or actual like free agents? I mean, who's still out there? Schultz.
Gasecki just signed with,
Yeah, Gesicki just signed to the Patriots. I mean, that
yeah.
sucks for fantasy purposes. I don't like that at all. They got Hunter
Hmm.
Henry there too. That's just yeah. I didn't like that.
The
I
Bears
didn't like
got
that.
Tanyan.
Bears got Tanyan. I mean, they got
Hmm.
Cole Kmet. Cole Kmet's more the pass catching guy. I would guess that they'll keep Tanyan to block a little bit more than anything, but I don't know. Yeah,
And
I
there
don't think he. I
was,
don't think he means anything. But yeah, Gesicki, I didn't like that move. That's just a downgrade for him. For me.
yeah,
Who else?
yeah. Even on a pretty high volume
Hooper's still
offense,
out there.
who?
Hooper, Austin Hooper, right? He didn't sign with
Mm,
anybody, did he?
I don't think so. I actually liked Hayden Hurst for them. I think re-signing Hayden Hurst would probably be just fine for
Well,
me, to be honest with you,
honestly, they're just gonna draft. I think they're gonna draft a tight end. I mean,
which I'm good with as well.
there's a bunch of great pass catching tight ends that are coming out that would fit really good in that in that passing offense. Do they get a running back too? Possibly. So I think those are two, and they could get a tight end decently late. I mean, you can get a good one
Yeah,
second, third round probably. There might be a few that go in the first, which could be surprising, but I wouldn't be surprised because there's a few really good ones out there. I mean, you saw how big Darnell Washington was, and he's more of a blocker than he is a pass catcher. But that dude, a fucking beast. And then he made that sick one-handed catch, so everybody was going crazy for that. But free agents, I know Morale visited on Friday. Yeah, I mean Morale's okay. I'll take him. I mean, I don't think he'll be anything special, but he'll be a guy that you can probably start at that point if he does go there.
yeah. I mean,
James
I
Wilson.
think I
Yeah.
think anybody, like you said, anybody really going to that Cincy offense, you kind of like. Like I said, I picked up Hayden Hurst this past season, and he was solid. I mean, I didn't have crazy expectations for him, but he was solid given all the other pass catchers on that team. So obviously, whatever tight end goes there, he's going to get a nice bump. But temper your expectations though, because with Chase and T. Higgins and still Tyler Boyd hanging around, he has his games. I would temper my expectation from the tight end spot in Cincy.
It's just going to be somebody that you can start that you can probably get for relatively cheap. But
Agreed.
Lions tooling up. Yeah, I mean the Lions are looking. They're they're looking up. I mean, I
Yep.
don't see why they wouldn't re-sign Golf. They go out and get Monty, which I like. I
Mm-hmm.
think he's like a mid RB2. I think they're gonna be, still mixing it up. I don't think like Monty's a 3 down guy. I think, Swift is still gonna get, like we mentioned, that
But he's
10
a
to
perfect
15
complement. Yeah.
10 to 15 touches. I think he's perfect complement, offensively. I don't think it's gonna be what we want it to be fantasy wise for Monty or Swift, but is Monty like you can't say that okay, Monty now is going to score, the 17 touchdowns that Jamal Williams scores. Like that's
No,
just
no, no, no.
like we can't count on that. The chances of you keep getting stopped at that 1 yard line every time and just being able to bang it in. I mean, you can't count on that. But yeah, I think Swift definitely eats into it. So yeah, I got Monty as like a mid RB2, and then Swift is kind of this. He can do the same even with less work as we saw. But yeah, what do you
I
think about
agree.
those? What do you think about
Yeah, no,
Monty?
I totally agree. I think it's a perfect compliment. It wasn't a crazy huge deal, obviously, but it's a perfect compliment. I literally have no problem with that. But I think it actually might give Swift a little bit of a bump in terms of maybe him scoring some more touchdowns because that Jamal Williams touchdown season was just obviously an aberration, absolutely insane. So I think the regression or the aggression to the mean for Swift, he might get a bump in some of those touchdown situations. But they're on a high octane offense like Jared Goff with. We talked about Amon Ra, we talked about Jameson Williams. Now you have the 2 running backs, so they're really poised to have good skill position players from a production standpoint and a fantasy standpoint. So I think both of those guys obviously are worth rostering. If you have Swift, you might want to consider going out and picking up Monty. It might cost you a little bit, but I do think it's worth it to go out and see if you can buy him if the price is right.
Yeah, I like it for Swift at in the point of that his perceived value is going to be lower. You're going to be able to draft
Mm-hmm.
him way later. So now you can kind of draft him appropriately as that flex kind of dude.
Yep.
Instead of that RB1. So I like it from that point of view. So if you can try and buy him for, a second,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they're going to be willing, if anyone's going to be willing to give him up. Somebody might just be fed up and say, fuck it, I'll take the second. So got to see what he costs. But yeah, I like Swift as a good little, buy low as that perceived value is kind of down right now.
Yeah.
Even
No.
the late
Absolutely.
first. I mean, yeah, I would give up. I would give up the late first. I mean, if you're
For who?
contending,
For
if
who?
you
Swift or
he's saying for
Monty?
Swift for Swift. I don't know about Monty. Monty, yeah, you could give up the late first for Monty. I mean, he got the contract. Again, I don't think he's going to be the 3 down workhorse, but yeah, I mean, I'd spend the late first on Monty. If you're contending for the championship, then yes. Otherwise, no. So I'd rather just spend something later. I'd rather spend less and get 80% of that. But yeah, I don't mind it. What else did the Lions do? Did the Lions do anything else? No, I don't think so. But yeah, I mean, JMO comes back. It doesn't look like they're re-signing DJ Shark. So talking about Javante, yeah, he's talking about Javante. My bad. Hold on, I'll
The
get to
late first for
Javante here.
Javante. The late first for Javante. I
What
think
range
that's
pick
what.
would you buy him for in a 12-team super flex? Still believe in him?
So he's talking about the late first in regards to Javante.
Yeah. Of course, I still believe in Javante. It's just a matter of him actually getting healthy. What's good, Rendezvous? Thanks for tuning in, man. But yeah, I would still easily spend a late first on Javante. It's just a matter of him obviously getting back on the field. It's going to be with Sean Payton. I mean, Sean Payton's no dummy. We saw
Mm-hmm.
what he did with everybody he had there with Ingram and Kamara, and so yeah, I still love Javante. He's a good buy low. He's been a buy low since he's gotten hurt. I mean, he's still young. What is he, 22? I mean, I don't know if he's going to be ready for the start of the season. They said he should be, but I don't know. I mean, that was he. I know he messed up a couple different things in there. It wasn't just the ACL, but yeah, I like him. He's definitely a good buy low, especially if you're rebuilding. And can have get a running back for a little bit cheaper than what they normally would be because he was top three running back like going into the season, top three, top five at the least. And
Yeah,
then
it was
obviously
it was really unfortunate. I know you had you had plenty of stock in that Javante
yeah, I had
basket,
high hopes. I had high hopes
and
for Javonte. That hurt.
it came crashing down. And I'm not saying there's anything
Good
wrong
cow.
with putting a ton of stock into one guy. I just, especially at the running back position, that's always been a tough thing for me to just put a ton of stock into one guy. Now anybody could get hurt at any time. I understand that, but especially for a running back where crazy shit happens and you're just like, fuck. Especially if you give up a ton of capital, draft capital at that. Um, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I do think he'll be on kind of that Saquon Barkley trajectory where he'll play a little bit this year, but I do think he'll be on a snap count pretty much every game. Maybe later in the season, depending on where the Broncos are and what their playoff positioning looks like if they have playoff positioning. Maybe they ramp him up a little more towards the end of the season. But I do think he'll be on sort of a snap count, throughout most of the season. I don't think you'll really see him get a full workload till 2024.
Yeah, I mean, I'd easily give up a late first, but I think his cost is probably more of a mid first for the owners that do have him. So,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be it all depends.
Yeah, I agree.
Find what that team needs and try and get him. Didn't they get a cornerback too? The Lions. Yeah, who did we just talk about? Gardner Johnson, right?
CJ Gardner Johnson.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Albert was good, Albert.
I believe he led the league in interceptions last year, if I'm not mistaken, for the Eagles. So
Yeah, Eagles lost a few defensive guys. You know,
yeah, yeah.
few defensive guys. There you go. Cam Sutton and mostly also Lions new QBs. Yeah, they're retooling everything. They're trying to compete. No
And
Aaron Rodgers. Vikings
the
defense sucks. I mean,
the
Bears are the
position that
Bears.
yeah, the position that the Lions are in are really good because they don't have to pay Patrick Mahomes money or Josh Allen money or Jalen Hurts upcoming money or Herbert or Burrow. They don't have to pay Jared Goff that kind of money. So now they have plenty, and they have Amon-Ra. They can still on his rookie deal. Obviously, JMO's on his rookie deal. So they have a lot of flexibility to be able to add to that defense. Which, let's be honest, the defense was really bad last year. So if they're just middle of the pack defensively and their offense takes another step up, they're going to be a 10-17.
Yeah, Daniel Jones money. Yeah, I
Or
can't believe
Daniel Jones money. Good
what
point,
Daniel
Marty.
Jones
Excellent,
got. I mean,
excellent point, Marty. Exactly. So
that's crazy. Good
I
on
think that
good.
bodes really well for the Lions in terms of being able to build out the rest of their roster. They have a good team.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Where we at? Uh, this is Miles Sanders. Let's talk about Miles Sanders real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Miles Sanders gets the money, goes to the Panthers. What
Man,
does this mean for Miles Sanders? Everybody's hyping him up. The stock's up.
he's basically all
Still
they
got
have.
Chuba. Yeah, I mean they still got Chuba, and they still could bring in somebody, but they did give him the money. So is he going to be the three down guy? I don't think so. He hasn't
No,
been
no.
since his first year. Really, that was the only time he really caught passes was that first year. But he's not like crazy natural at it. Like he's not a great pass catcher. He can catch, but I don't know. I think they got Chuba for that too. Or they'll have him in that kind of that third down role too. So Miles Sanders, I mean, back end RB2 with upside. I mean, don't forget the team has got no QB. We've got, not really wide receivers. They just signed Thielen. There's talk about DJ Shark, which actually I wouldn't mind either. But QB is going to be put in a tough situation. That rookie QB, they're going to be down probably, which is going to probably hurt. They're going to be less in the red zone, which is going to probably hurt. We had 11 touchdowns last year, so I guess I would say just temper expectations with the running backs. And yeah, Javante was one reason why I hate. Another reason why I hate running backs. After that burned me, so I'm done with that shit. But yeah, what do you think about Miles Sanders?
Yeah, it's interesting because you can make the argument either way to fit whatever narrative you want it to be. We talked about this on a couple of previous episodes where you could, your the way you looked at it, the way you just broke it down was, they may struggle offensively. Red zone opportunities may not be as plentiful as they were with the Eagles, obviously. So, you could spin it that way, or you could say, hey, he's basically the only established piece they have. The offense is gonna revolve around him. Does that bode well for him? That remains to be seen. But I think what you said is pretty accurate in terms of temper your expectations. He falls somewhere in that RB2 range. I think he'll probably be somewhere in the RB 15 ish range, depending on the volume. What that offensive scheme looks like. What other help does he have there? So yeah, so I view him as an RB2 flex. Going into the season, but hey, that could change. You never know. He could just go on a tear because he's what they have essentially.
Well, he was RB 15 this season, and he had what 1,200 yards and 11 touchdowns. So I can still see the yardage. I can see that, but if the touchdowns go down, which I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
I can say he'll score 11 touchdowns. Like that's why I see him like perfectly as like that low end RB2 kind of,
Right.
but he doesn't have the upside. But without him catching the passes, now if he starts catching passes, maybe that makes up for the touchdowns. But I don't know at this point after all these years, all of a sudden if he's going to be this pass catching guy out of the backfield. I don't know.
It's but you never know, right? You don't know what they're gonna scheme up for him, what kind of offense they're gonna install. Obviously, who they take at quarterback is gonna make a big deal. Are they gonna take Stroud? I would imagine they would, but yeah, it'll be wow, that's really interesting. 11 touchdowns, nothing in the air, but had 1,300 yards and 11 touchdowns. And that was good for 15th in PPR, 10th in standard. So he's better in standard, obviously, because the receiving is just non existent. Jesus,
Nobody plays
imagine,
standard anymore.
bro, imagine he caught 40 balls. He would be a top 10 guy, 50
Yeah,
balls,
well,
40 passes, so.
I mean, he's not. All right, are you buying or selling Miles Sanders?
It depends. If I would look to sell, obviously, but if I didn't feel like I got what I wanted, I'm always the kind that would say, all right, I don't mind holding, and then playing that strategy where if he rips off 2 or 3 good games early in the season, say his first 3 games he has 3 touchdowns, right? Then I'm like, then people are gonna want him.
Yeah, I think people really want him anyway. That's why I'm like, fuck it. Like, why even take the chance of him not performing well? Like, take
I get
advantage
it.
of people just thinking he is going to perform well. Because if he is going
Oh
to
yeah.
perform well, you'd sell him at the same price anyway. So,
Oh,
that's why I'm like, fuck it. You take advantage now, especially with the running backs, because there's just too much can happen. There's too
then
much
leave
to
then
lose.
leave it to
Like,
chance. No, I totally agree. But what I'm saying was, yes, if I got what I was looking for, then I would absolutely pull the trigger. But if somebody's just trying to offer me a third, I'd be like, what is that
yeah,
really going to do for me?
no.
You know what I mean? That's what I'm
All right,
saying.
yeah. So
So
all right? So what's Miles Sanders worth? What would you buy him for? And we could talk about what would you sell him for too.
I would buy him for a second if I whatever second it might be. I have back end seconds, but I would buy him for a mid second.
Yeah, it might. Yeah, it might take an early second at this point with the contract that it just got and the perceived like that he's the guy in the backfield.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that. And also too, it comes down to your roster construction. If
Mhm.
you just need a RB3 flex guy and you buy him for a mid second, that's found gold right there. So
Yeah,
absolutely. If you're looking for Miles Sanders to come in and be, one of your top RBs, like your RB1, RB2, then, the situation changes a little bit. So the roster construction definitely matters when you're talking about buying a guy like Miles Sanders. I don't think he's a lead back. You know what I mean?
yeah.
I'm sure he'll get 65%, maybe 70, depending on who the other running back is. I know you said they still have Chuba, but
Probably draft
I
somebody or even
right,
start bring somebody else.
right.
You
But
know.
I would look at him as a RB2, RB3 flex kind of guy going in. If he gives me more than that, then then maybe I could sell him for a back end one if somebody's really feeling spicy, or a front end two.
Yeah. All right, what else happened in here? Well, Alan Lazard, of course, goes to the Jets, right?
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Rodgers goes to the Jets.
Not yet.
What does this mean? What? Well,
He's
yeah,
not on the Jets yet.
I know. What does this mean now for Garrett Wilson? He was already a top 10 dynasty wide receiver for me anyway.
This changes nothing for Garrett Wilson. Absolutely nothing.
That's what I
Honestly,
said. I mean, still,
I
I
think
guess.
it.
Go ahead, my bad.
I think it may enhance a little bit because you have competent guys on the other side. Now a lot of people may look to it and say, "Well, he trusts Alan Lazard. Alan Lazard's a more of a veteran guy." Blah blah blah. Bull jive. Nope, I'm not buying it. This is Garrett Wilson's wide receiver room, and they're all
Yeah,
just living in
we
his
know
world.
that. What do you think Lazard gives at least
Red zone.
fantasy production? I mean,
Red zone production. That's what he's going to
yeah,
give them.
yeah.
Aaron Rodgers trusts him, especially in critical situations. But I don't. I think there's plenty enough offense to go around for both Alan Lazard to be productive, particularly in the red zone, and Garrett Wilson to just pick up where he left off from last year,
You know what?
especially with the
Yeah.
touchdowns.
You know what Lazard reminds me of, like a Walmart version of Adam Thielen, where he's gonna get like that little, 4 or 5 for 60, and you gotta hope for the touchdown, because you got
Yeah,
Garrett Wilson there, you got Elijah Moore, you got Brees, and
yeah. It'll be real interesting to see how the structure of the offense and how these guys are utilized outside of Garrett Wilson because we know he could pretty much do everything. Um, but yeah, I think there's plenty to go around, and it'll be really interesting to see how quickly Aaron develops a rapport with the receivers, namely Garrett Wilson and Elijah Moore. It does worry me a little bit that Aaron's the kind of guy who will try and like skip out on OTAs and he's not he doesn't bring at this stage of the game he's not as dedicated as you would want somebody to be doing all the off-season stuff. And that's not me just hating on Aaron Rodgers because he's looks like he's going to lead my team, but that's just speaking from experience, right? Last year, look no further than last year where he had a ton of new receivers and he just dicked around, didn't get them together, wasn't really the leader that we needed him to be, and it showed on the field, particularly in the first half of the season. So I mean, they're still going to be productive, but it might not be the fireworks you expect from week one.
so do we rank Aaron Rodgers any higher than we did last
Not in dynasty. I would say in redraft maybe. Redraft he might be looking at a bit of a bounce back year, but for dynasty purposes, especially because he's essentially you can consider him 1 year. Like that's really what it is. You
year?
can't you can't tell me that Aaron Rodgers is going
He's
to play more than 1 year without
he's
any
still like
certainty.
he's still got to be like a what mid QB2, high end QB2 at most, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
we talked about this. He's in that QB 15 range. I could
yeah,
see him being
he's got to
QB
be,
12 to 15.
got to be. Because even
I'm
with the
comfortable with that.
defense there, he might not be called upon to score 30, 35 plus a game,
Right.
and with the running game, also with Brees Hall if he comes back, healthy and doing his thing. But
Yeah, I
yeah, all
think
right.
it'll be
What are we paying for Rodgers? If we are contending, we need we need a QB super flex. We need that second QB, and Aaron Rodgers is available. He's on the block, and you got nobody else really that you can get. You can't get no QBs in the draft. You got no early picks.
I'll go
Um,
back in. I'll go back in one in a super flex. I'd give
yeah,
a back in one for
we'll
that.
go back in
Yeah.
one for Aaron. Okay, yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's pretty fair kind of value.
Yeah.
I'd easily
Because
give him up for a back end one, definitely.
oh yeah, because I think that his value, even if he's not putting up 4,500 yards and 40 touchdowns, he's going to keep the turnovers down. That's one thing that we know he's going to do, and he's going to give you a steady presence there. He doesn't really miss games. He'll be there, and if it's on a 1 year deal, especially if he's your super flex quarterback, then you know you're in good shape. So, if you got a Mahomes or an Allen or a Herbert or a Burrow or one of those guys, and Aaron Rodgers is your super flex, or you have the opportunity to go buy Aaron Rodgers as your super flex with a back end one, front end two, it's kind of a no brainer to me going into this season if you want to push your chips to the middle of the table.
So what's Garrett Wilson worth? What are you giving up, and what are we paying for Garrett Wilson? I mean,
Funny,
typically,
funny, funny enough, I just actually made an offer in our home
did
dynasty
you?
league for Garrett Wilson. It got shot down.
Did you?
I
I'm
was,
about to hit him
yeah,
up too, actually, because
yeah. I offered
after
him Cooper Cup in a first.
really, and he
I
didn't
did.
accept it.
No.
Wow.
Yeah, so I offered Cooper Cup in a first because I have
Yeah,
Jamar Chase
I
and
wouldn't
Christian
accept it
Watson,
either. I wouldn't accept it either,
which is fine. It's worth a shot.
but yeah, I have Drake London, and I'm like, I have London and Pitts, and I'm like, shit, do I really want both of them? So I'm
But
like, shit,
also,
should I try and trade London and maybe try and get a Garrett Wilson? Like, what more? I don't know how much more I'm really gonna have to give up, but
I'm gonna take a different approach to this because I know everybody's high on Garrett Wilson and his perceived value, where Aaron coming in is going to be high. But a year from now, what's his perceived value going to be?
it would be the
If
same
when
as if Aaron wasn't, because he was still a top 10 guy with Aaron
I
not
get it,
there. At
I
least
get
for
it,
me,
I get it.
with a bunch of different QBs, he's still finished as what, wide receiver 2. So yeah, I mean, for a rookie, yeah, I love it. For Aaron Rodgers or not, he's the guy that those elite wide receivers. They're QB proof. It doesn't matter. You know,
Yeah, no, I'm just throwing it out there. That's all I'm saying.
I got you, bro. Jamal Williams goes to the Saints,
Hmm.
right? What do we expect now of Jamal Williams? I don't really know
Very
what to think, to be honest.
Yeah, very, very unpredictable. I think that's the word that came to my mind when I was thinking about when I actually saw that, and I was like, what do I think about that? I think unpredictable is
I
the
think it's
word,
nothing. I don't. I would
you
give
know?
up. I would give up Jamal easily for any kind of compensation.
Oh yeah.
I
Oh
would.
yeah.
I would try definitely for a second, but I mean, we saw all his production was touchdowns last year. He wasn't efficient on the ground like at all.
And it took
So
multi-touchdown games for him to
yeah, and
be.
now he's going to be on the Saints with a worse team. I mean, I don't know. We don't know what's happening with Kamara, obviously, but
Yeah, I would definitely sell on Jamal Williams, obviously, as you just talked about, just because the perceived value right now. I think it's coming down because a lot of people probably understand he's not scoring 17 touchdowns again. He might not score 17 touchdowns again for the rest of his career. That was just one of those weird anomaly things
that's true.
um, that happened that are like so fluky. But listen, with the Kamara situation, Jamal's a good player, um, NFL wise. But when you're talking about fantasy and production wise, you want to sell that bad boy as fast as you can.
A good signing that I thought, I mean, it happened early on, but he Ryan to the Broncos
Mm.
to, back up Javante, or at least, maybe start even, until Javante comes back, if he's not back for the start of the season. I like it. We talked about it a little bit earlier, what, Sean Payton can do with the running back. So I think he's a sneaky, sneaky guy you can get so late, or for so cheap, that you can kind of, you might even be able to rely on for a few games.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I think one of the biggest eye-opening situations happened last year when Mixon was out for a little while, and Pirine came in and he was like running for 100 yards every game and catching the ball at his normal clip. So you looked at him and you were like, God damn, I didn't know he was that kind of dude because he was running like a physical runner, like
Yeah.
between the tackles type shit, and I didn't know that he had that in him. So it was really interesting to see Pirine have that kind of uh, that kind of production. Now, it was in a limited capacity, obviously. I think it was only like a 2 or 3 game stretch where he came in for Mixon, but still, it opened up some eyes. And going to Denver is really good, and he's a pass catcher, so that's only going to boost his stock a little bit more. So if you could buy him for a back end 2, front end 3, I think that's worth it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, more importantly, just in your startup draft, just he's going at certain
Especially
value.
especially if you have Javante, you might want to scoop him up.
Yeah. Rashard Penny was the other one. I know you hate. I fucks with Rashard Penny. He just can't stay healthy. But I'll take
I'm
the
good.
I'll
I'm
take the
good.
6 games he'll give me for
No, I'm good. No, I'm good. I'm out. Nope, I'm not touching Penny with a 10-foot pole. Thank you. Goodbye. Get out. Get
Oh
out.
my god. No, I think
None of it.
mainly for startups. I mean, I wouldn't say to go out and buy him, but in startups where you can get a guy again, another guy where you can just get extremely late that has upside. That's what we're looking for. Even if you take him, not even to necessarily keep him, but just trade him once that peak comes. Which will be as soon as he starts and has one good game, it's could be the time. But
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
just guys you can get for extremely, extremely cheap. That the situation is awesome. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that offense, that O line. Now they do have fucking 3 different guys, and they brought back everybody. So you got Gainwell and Scott also coming back.
Yeah, I mean the Eagles. It was really frustrating too because if you remember in the Super Bowl, I think Miles Sanders had that fumble early on. I mean, it went out of bounds. He didn't lose it, but he was a ghost after that. It was Gainwell and Boston Scott the rest of the
Yeah.
game. So I think, especially with Nick Sirianni and with Jalen Hurts, it's really going to be hard. Jalen Hurts with the RPO stuff, he's going to siphon off a ton of carries. It's going to be really hard to trust any of those Eagles running backs.
Yeah. Speaking of, I mean, the Dolphins, they fucking bring everybody back too. You got Jeff Wilson back, you got Mostert back, you got, I think they even brought what was it, Gaskin back? Or
Mm-hmm.
Ahmed, one of them they brought back.
Ahmed,
I don't remember.
Ahmed,
Ahmed.
Salvin Ahmed.
So
Yeah.
like again, it's like what the fuck? We wanted, a better, I guess, running back to go there. And they still may also draft somebody too. But it just like damn, you know. But yeah, if they draft a running back there, I mean, that's a good spot to be in. But another 2 guys where you can get extremely late in drafts for almost nothing. Jeff Wilson and Mostert, who I'm seeing just fall everywhere. I'm just scooping them up later, late in draft.
Yeah, I got Jeff Wilson in our home dynasty league, and his value comes and it goes, man. But if one of those guys get hurt, either one, then the value is low end RB1 for the other guy, in my
I mean,
estimation.
that's why I'm always punting running back when I'm, in my dynasty startups. I'd rather, stockpile on my wide receivers, QBs, and tight ends and get that, young elite talent. And then later on in the draft, take these flyers, that I can fill in at the RB position,
Mm-hmm.
because I can get a bunch of them really late. And all I need is, one of them to hit or, 2, not even 1.5. I mean, you get a bunch of these guys, one of them is gonna turn out, is gonna be able to help you. So that's how I like doing it, at least going into my startups. I'd rather just take the value of those guys that are just extremely cheap later on. They go and, draft a Miles Sanders early up in the draft.
Makes sense.
Zeke, they were talking about Zeke, maybe like the Bills.
Yeah, I mean, I
Saw
don't
that.
know. I'm not sure.
He's done.
Yeah, I don't know what the value is. I think he could be effective. He might, you know what? He might have a Jamal Williams type season where, not saying he's going to get 17 touchdowns, but he'll basically be that, goal line, short yardage guy. They still have
Yeah.
Singletary,
That's
obviously,
what he's
right?
been. He's
They
been
still
that
have
goal
Cook.
line. Yeah.
They got James Cook. So Zeke to the Bills doesn't really get me all hot and bothered, to be honest with you. But if you do have Zeke and he goes to the Bills, and one of those crazy ass owners out there is like, yo, I'll give you a late first for Zeke, smash.
Well, it's not crazy to think that he has, what he did. I mean, 800 yards and another 12 touchdowns. I mean, maybe not 17 like Jamal Williams, but is the realm of possibility of double-digit touchdowns on a Bills offense where
Move the
they
ball.
don't want to run Josh Allen at the one, for the QB sneak. Maybe they do give it to Zeke. Maybe they take a little bit away from, Josh Allen running and possibly getting hurt. I don't know. I don't know if they'll actually do that, but just saying. That's what he's got to find himself. He's got to find himself on a good team, a good offense, and he's got to be utilized in the red zone. When they're
I
down,
agree.
when they're down close to the goal line. So,
I
yeah,
agree.
it's funny. But yeah, he's done. As far as I'm not taking a chance on him. I mean, dynasty wise, this is why we hate running backs because the cliff it just comes. That's it. All of a sudden they're fucking done.
Mm-hmm.
Dalvin Cook is going to be another one that just done. The value is just perceived down. Nobody's going to give them a contract. They're going to get a 1-year contract somewhere. They're not going to be the workhorse guy. That's it. The RB1 production is over. Like that's it. It's not coming back.
That's crazy to think about, right?
Right. That's what Mixon. He's even a little bit younger. I think he's even a year younger. That's it. Done. I don't know if he can come back from all this shit that's happening. And the Bengals are even saying they might even cut him. It's just.
And that just goes to show you, and kind of why I started pointing out where I think what you, especially in Dynasty, obviously redraft is a whole nother situation, especially if you're taking a risk on a guy like Zeke who may bang in 12 touchdowns, and if you're on redraft, that's gold. But strictly talking on Dynasty purposes, that's one of those things where you talk about like, yo, these running backs fall off a cliff so fast because 3 or 4 years ago, Dalvin Cook was a top 5 pick at the position. Essentially, he was viewed as one of those workhorse guys, and 3 or 4 years later, over. So it can happen that quickly.
Oh, he was viewed as a top 10, 12 guy last year, and
That's what I'm saying.
So this is why we hate running backs. We hate when they get old. We get rid of them before then. We don't draft them in startups. For these reasons. So
Agreed.
don't there's no reason to try and get burned. OBJ, we don't know where OBJ is going. Apparently he never asked for 20 mil a year, but 4 mil a year is not enough. I guess that's understandable, but I don't know who's going to want to sign him. We may have to wait until after the draft because teams might want to see who they can get, and then they'll fill in. So I don't think there's anywhere that he goes that is like enticing. I don't know if he can be a wide receiver 2. I think at best he'll probably be a wide receiver 3, no matter where he goes. And I'm not
Dallas to me was intriguing. Like if he went to Dallas as their wide receiver 2,
it was, but he
I
didn't.
really would. I'm saying I really would have liked that situation.
Yeah,
so
that would have been a good situation. I mean, even the Bills wouldn't be a horrible situation.
Yeah, I would agree with that. The Bills,
or maybe they go and get D-Hop, the Bills.
That's another potential trade target for them.
I think I like D-Hop there a lot. Would take that. What's D-Hop going for nowadays? What's the asking price on D-Hop if he goes to the Bills? Let's just say he goes to the Bills. What's the asking price on D-Hop now? And are you in on it? Jay, what's good, Jay? Thanks for tuning in, brother.
I don't know, man. If
you need a flex, okay? You need a flex spot. You're contending.
I'm on a contending.
We're almost at the playoffs. You got an injury, and you need to fill in a flex spot. And D-Hop's on the Bills. Yeah. What are you paying? You have you have a mid, probably like a no. Let's just say you have
a 110.
let's just say, no. Let's just say you have Let's just say you have a late first. You're gonna have a late first. Are you spending a late first to go and get D Hop?
That's tough, man. I'll be honest. I traded D Hop in our dynasty
You did.
league, and I traded him because I saw him because if you remember earlier in his career, he would have these nagging injuries, but he would always play through it and play well through it. I might add, you know what I mean? And the fact of the matter is, over the last 2+ years, I know he had the suspension last year, so injury wasn't really a factor last year because he had the first 6 weeks off. But the last 2+ years or so, he's not playing through these injuries anymore. They're catching up with him, and he's missing chunks of games. So that's really, and he's losing some of that explosiveness. You can kind of already see it where he's becoming more of a possession guy and a touchdown dependent guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think last year and even the year before that in Arizona, he would have these like 7 for 70 lines, but he had 2 touchdowns, so the stat line looked fantastic. I really think gone are those days of 11 for 130. You know what I mean? So to get back to your original question, I would think about it. If I felt like it was going to put me over the top, I would give up a back end one for him. I would try and get something else. I would maybe try and buy somebody else a little bit younger, maybe with a little more upside. But if it's D Hop and he's going to give me some of the touchdown production and he's on the Bills, yeah, I'd give up a back end first to go over the top. It's a tough call, but I may be inclined to do so.
He'd probably be a mid wide receiver too if he went to the Bills. I think would be a fair range to kind of put him in, at best case scenario. But
Yeah.
JB, what's good? Thanks for tuning in. Drama was good. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe. Appreciate y'all. But 12 team, 1 QB, start 10, 106 or DJ Moore. DJ Moore easy. It's 1 QB for me. But what about you, Hammer?
I'm not a fan of DJ Moore, as you already know. I just think he is what he is. You can give me all the stats, you can give me all the blah blah, the hoopla. I think he's a good receiver. I don't think he's a difference maker or a needle mover. And now that he's on the Bears, I don't know how much he's moving the needle for me. But with that being said, I will still take DJ Moore in this scenario, put up against the 106 in a 1 QB league. Because I know what I'm going to get in the player. I don't know what I'm going to get quite in the production. I wonder how much they're going to open up the passing game with Justin Fields. Is Justin Fields going to develop as a passer? DJ Moore's a really good route runner. So is he going to have that timing with DJ Moore to be able to use him effectively? So we'll see. But I'll still take DJ Moore over the 106, especially in a 1 QB. In a super flex, I'd take the 106.
No, I think it's close. You might even take the DJ Moore over the 106 in Superflex because if it's not JSN, it's like I think I'd just rather have DJ Moore.
Maybe. I think I'd take the 106
unless Gibbs is on the board, maybe that's another story. But it's a lot closer. But yeah, 1 QB, yeah, give me DJ Moore. I mean, it's not particularly close for me in the 1 QB because all the the top guys are going to be gone at that point. But yeah, Jacoby Myers to the Raiders. I mean, wide receiver 4, I guess. Fuck, maybe.
Meh.
Juju to the Pats.
Meh.
I mean, I like it better for him as. The problem with Juju is that he went to the best possible situation and he was limited
okay.
target share and he was okay. Like this is just who he is at this point. Now, do I think he's got a better opportunity on the Patriots? Yeah, possibly.
But what does that mean in a low volume offense?
He's a wide receiver 4 with like wide receiver 3 upside, maybe.
Yeah.
That's really as far as I'd put him. Would you go out and buy Juju? I mean, a late second, maybe. I don't even think I'd give up a mid-second at this point.
I don't know, dude. I don't know if I could. I'm not feeling it.
I would give a late second. I mean,
yeah, that I would do, and I think And I did like what I saw from Jacoby Myers in that Patriots offense. He was a relative surprise
Yeah.
in terms of his level of production. I
Mm.
think Juju is going to replicate that production from Jacoby Myers? I'd be hard pressed. They did add Gesicki as well. So does Gesicki take some of the? And we know Mac Jones loves throwing the tight ends.
Yeah.
So it's that Patriots offense just does nothing for me.
Well,
Literally nothing.
I think the one thing that Juju does have going for him is that he wasn't great in like he's not great in man coverage. He's better in zone coverage. And I think against the Patriots, people play a little bit more zone. They're running a little bit more. They're not giving Mac Jones the reins to kind of throw the football like that. So I think that's the one positive thing, for Juju. But I'm not, overly excited or anything like that. You get Tyquan Thornton back. Hopefully he doesn't get hurt again. I mean, they're okay. They got to let Mac Jones take that next step. Like they've got to let him air out the football. I mean, you got Stevenson, of course. They signed J. Rob, who we were going to talk about. I guess we'll talk about him now as we're going into it.
Mm-hmm.
But this is what we expected. We didn't expect Stevenson to just be the only guy. We expect them to bring somebody in and also bring somebody in for the pass catching down. I don't know if they're done or do they use what's his name?
James White,
Pierre Strong. Do they
Pierre
use
Strong.
Pierre or do they use Pierre Strong as that third, guy? Belichick always got the three guys working in there.
You
Again,
cannot trust Bill
yeah.
Belichick's
And
backfield.
no, and again, Stevenson last year, like if Harris didn't get hurt or if White didn't get hurt, like what would have really been that situation for Stevenson? So
Right.
I don't know. And he did start to break down. He got banged up a little bit, towards the end of the season. So I don't know if they want him to take on that crazy workload. Now, does he take on a little bit of a less workload, but is he more efficient? I think that's also a possibility that he can still, kind of finish in that same range if he's still, catching the football and he's a little bit more efficient, a little bit more rested. The offense is better, but the offense has got to take that next step a little bit for him to be able to do that too. But yeah, what do you think about Stevenson over there?
Yeah, I still like him. I think he's a really good running back. I think he does everything that Bill Belichick likes. But the biggest point is not really Stevenson. It's the coach and the offense and how historically we've seen what Bill Belichick's backfields look like. And the bottom line is, unless there were major injuries, as we saw last year, that opened the door for Stevenson kind of by default to really take that backfield, by the horns. It's going to be really hard to trust anybody on a game in, game out situation. But you gotta like Stevenson as the lead guy there, at least to start the season, and then see how things play out. But yeah, it's kind of like trusting a San Francisco running back. You just can't do it.
I mean, this is why we've been saying, to sell Stevenson high, while there's nobody
Still
there
got
and
the
everybody's
opportunity. Yeah.
perceiving that he's going to be the 3 down back. And it's just,
Mm-hmm.
with the running backs, it's just sometimes you just capitalize on the value. And then, once the season starts, you can go and buy him back or buy somebody else when more of a fact of what's going to be happening because things are
Mm-hmm.
going to change. I mean, things are going to change. But yeah, I mean, Brandon Cooks and Nico Collins were both two guys I had on, like I said, I had on that video 2 months ago to try and, get at a good value. And now they're moving up. We had Madison was on one of my running back videos. He re-signs with the Vikings. Dalvin Cook maybe gets traded. Maybe they bring somebody in. But again, just guys that are increasing in value that even if you bought them for a third and could sell them for a second or bought them for a fourth and could sell them for a third, you're still getting a better asset. You're still, moving up. You're tearing up. So Donta Foreman to the Bears, right? So yeah, everybody thought Herbert was going to be, the only guy there. They bring in now Foreman. I mean, it's just going to be a mixture, a split backfield. I think Donta probably takes the early down work, and Herbert takes the third down work, or they just split it evenly. Or they could still bring somebody in. I still think if they would draft Bijan, that'd be pretty sick.
That'd be interesting
Nine.
with those three guys in
Imagine.
that backfield. Yeah, I could see it. I think the Bears might want to build up that defense. They did trade for DJ Moore. They have
a bunch of dudes.
Claypool.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. They still have a window with Justin Fields in on that rookie contract, so it'll be real interesting to see where they go with that backfield. I don't think that if they had the idea of drafting Bijan that they would have signed Foreman, but is there really ever a such thing? Yeah, is there
It was
really
like a
ever
1 year.
1 year, 3 million, I believe.
Yeah, it was
But
cheap.
is there ever such thing as having too many running backs? I think the answer to that is no.
No, of course not. Of course not. But all right, guys, thanks for tuning in. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe. Any questions you got, throw them out there. We do have a Dynasty roster review that we are going to do and go over right now. Unless y'all got any questions, throw them out there. But we're going to pull up a Dynasty roster here. We're going to go over the team. We had Ronnie ask us for some help to go over his team. Had a question. He had an inbox offer, so we'll go over that as well. But just want some, some advice on what he should do or what moves he could be looking to make. Some guys he could be looking to trade away, some targets maybe, some guys he should be looking to draft possibly as well. So I guess we'll get right into it here. But Superflex start 10, 12 team. He's got the 105, 205, and 305. Got all of his 24 picks and all of his 25 picks. We've got at the QB position Justin Fields and a bunch of trash.
Yes.
Winston, Trubisky, and Tannehill. We've got at running back Swift, CMC, Chubb, McKinnon, Pirine, Herbert, and Mitchell. We've got at wide receiver DJ Chark, Burks, MVS, Ridley, Sherfield, Elijah Moore, Joshua Palmer, David Bell, and Dubes. At tight end, we got Knox, Cole Kmet, and Irv Smith. And in the taxi, we've got Chuba, Jerome Ford, and Isaiah Spiller. But yeah, what do you think about this team? First glance, Hammer, before we start getting into more specifics.
2 words: needs work.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely needs some work. I mean, we do got the 105, so that is
you got some, but there is. I will say this in all seriousness, it does need work, but there are pieces here that you can work with, and I think that's the upside. So we'll take it from there.
Yeah, he's lucky. Fields turned it around. Marty said this team is busted. Yeah, this team is definitely busted, but we do have a little bit of value that we can try and play with and transfer over to a part of the team that we need, which is obviously wide receiver. So we've got Swift, CMC, and Chubb. We'll talk about them in a second. But all right, what's the studs? What's the core players that we need to be looking at, or what's the core player studs that you like here on this team that you think are possibly untradeable or that we want to try and build around or hold on to?
It's the first.
Drama said that's mine. Be nice. Drama, appreciate you tuning in. So that's Ronnie there. This is his team. So yeah, Ronnie, questions or anything that you have while we're doing it? This is why we do it live.
Hell yeah.
So that you can communicate with us throughout this whole kind of ordeal here, because your league better than we do. So
that's a good point as well.
Saying it is not going to be
possible.
You're not going to be able to do in your league or not possible. Then let us know. Do people value picks more? Do people value players, production, running backs? So Marty says, sorry, Drama. I got teams like that too. Yeah, bro.
It'd be like that. It'd be like that. But we're here to help you out. We're here to give you some ideas, and it's really cool. As Steve said, like, it's important to know your league. I guess before we even get into the breakdown, what you just said is really, really important, because some of the trades and some of the different things that we're going to get into, particularly as I'm looking at your running back stash there, really know your league and really know what guys value. Really know, we got a couple guys in our home dynasty league that value a bunch of old name guys, and we can unload them and get whatever we want. So we're gonna dive into that more. But knowing your league is really, really important in terms of if you really want to fix up your team and build with some more core players. But the only really core guy you want to hold on to here is Fields, and I think you would agree with that.
Yeah. I mean, don't forget, this is Dynasty. This is why we do it. This is the fun part, being able to, try and
build
rebuild,
your team,
make trades, so that you can get to the top there. So it's Versus is a name from high school. Yeah, it's all good, bro. You're all good there. I have a lot of guys in my league that must win trades. And when you're rebuilding, I mean, it's fine to lose a trade or perceive to have lost a trade at that instance. And dynasty, sometimes we don't know for years whether a
Yeah,
trade really works out or not.
I
So
agree.
it may look like you're losing the trade initially, but you got to do what you got to do to try and turn the team around. So
Also too, really quick. Listen, Ronnie, if you have to trade 2 or 3 of those running backs that have big names to get yourself one stud core guy to go with Fields, then you do that. You know what I mean?
We're trading all of them. We'll go over
Yeah,
that in a
no,
second, but
I agree, but I'm saying even if, like I said, even if you're trading 2 or 3 of those running backs for one stud wide receiver, do it because, like Steve said, the perceived value versus what you're going to be getting over the long haul is going to be worth it. Especially even if you go into next season and you have another high draft pick, then you could utilize that and then just build those pillars.
yes, this was my first dynasty draft, so I drafted as redraft. Yeah, I mean,
That's
and
a big mistake that a lot of people
that's the
make.
common mistake that people make. But that's fine because you've got some things where you can try and turn it around. And
Hmm.
if it was your first dynasty draft, that probably means that a lot of the people in your dynasty league, it's probably their first time too, or they might not be experienced either. I mean, you let me know. Are they experienced, or are they or is this a league maybe you always had in redraft, and then you decided to turn that into dynasty, and it's everybody's kind of first time.
Hmm.
Caleb said, "You got this. Tear it down. Sell CMC and Swift." Oh yeah, you guys the assets for 24 and 25. Yeah, absolutely, Caleb. Absolutely right. So yeah, I mean, the first thing in dynasty that you want to do when you're trying to rebuild is you start at the running back position and you sell those guys. You come off those guys, right? It's the shortest shelf life position. The value just goes down way too quick. So we want a longer shelf life. We want guys that their value are going to increase than decrease. So mixed bag on experience. Okay, that's fine. When I put Chubb on the block, I got send Ridley and Chubb and receive Pittman and a 2023 206. That's what I have here on the bottom. Here's inbox offer. So basically like a mid 2023. My bad. I thought you said 2024. I fucked that up on the bottom too anyway. But okay, 2023 206 and Michael Pittman for Chubb and Ridley. So everybody out there that's watching, let us know what you think about this trade. Are you going to trade Chubb and Ridley for Pittman and the 2023 206? Let us know there in the chat. Let's help out. Let's help out Ronnie here. But what do you think about the trade, Hammer? First off,
I'm not crazy about it. I'm not crazy about it because I think that Ridley is an ascending piece and he's going to be there for a little bit. In an ascending offense with an ascending quarterback, I have no clue what's going on in Indy right now. They may get CJ Stroud. They may get who's the other guy? Who's the other quarterback? The other top quarterback, not Stroud. Bryce Young. Bryce Young. Yeah. We don't know if they're going to get one of those two guys. I know Indy has the 4th overall pick. So we don't know if we're going to get one of those guys. I do like Pittman as a player. But I think Ridley is going to have a better season and maybe a better couple of seasons to come. So I think Ridley at this point is in a better situation than Pittman. And I think Ridley is valued higher or should be valued higher than Pittman. So you're downgrading at wide receiver, in my opinion. And then the 206 versus Chubb, I feel like you can get a little bit more for Chubb. I know he is a little bit of an older running back with some miles, but I would still try and search around because I think you could get a little bit more than the 206 for Chubb. Maybe not much more, but maybe seek out or a player that's going to give you some return on investment right away. Maybe a younger player, like Steve said, one of those guys I mean, he has P. Ryan, so I was going to say maybe go after P. Ryan, but I would still shop around, search out those teams that need running backs. You have a couple of really good running backs. So I think this situation is you need to use your leverage to get rid of these running backs. Look at teams that don't have any running backs. Maybe look at a team that has Javonte. Maybe look at a team that, that doesn't really have any running backs right now and try and leverage that because you'll get more value for those running backs than somebody who has you know, a Saquon or a Derrick Henry at this point, and they're trying to lowball
Yeah.
you for another running back.
Yeah, I don't particularly like the deal. I wouldn't do the deal. I want to keep shopping around. I want to see if I can do something better than that because I don't feel like that makes your team better really in any way. I think that's the biggest thing is we want to at least try and make our team better or at least gain some extra assets. I mean, you do get the
Mm-hmm.
206 with it, but I just don't love it. Like I'd rather even maybe sell those guys separately if you can, and maybe get something better than that. Kevin said I wouldn't do that deal. Hang on to Ridley for now. His value is as high as that guy when healthy. Deal Chubb though for sure. Package him with CMC to a contender. Yeah, absolutely, Kevin. What's good, Kev? Thanks for tuning in. Of course, brother. As always, the guy has zero depth. Yeah, I mean, yes, I don't particularly like to trade, but as far as your studs and your core players, really Fields is probably the only untouchable player that's on this team at all. Um, Team needs obviously we need a QB. Obviously we need wide receivers. Those are going to be our biggest kind of concerns, really. Trade pieces, everybody's tradable, like we just talked about. The running backs are going to be the ones that we're going to focus on here. We want to transfer that value or try to transfer that value over to the wide receiver position to get some kind of younger ascending guys, so that we can try and build this team back up. Yes, Saquon and Dobbins. That's all.
See, that's
Yeah,
exactly what I said. So the guy already has Saquon, so he's trying to pick up a RB2, a perfect RB2 for his situation. He's trying to lowball you. So don't go for that lowball. That's a little bit of a lowball. I'm not saying it's an outrageous deal, but Ridley's situation, as I think as Kevin said, Ridley is in a way better situation than Pittman right now, and
yeah,
Ridley's value, at least perceived value at this point, I think it will translate into real value. Is going to be way higher than Michael Pittman going into next season and even beyond. You know what I mean? If you look at the
yeah.
landscape of what's going on between Jacksonville and Indianapolis, their situations are literally night and day. So
Yeah, here
that's
we
don't
go. You got the 104, 109, and 111. Yeah, we want one of those picks. We want the 104, I think definitely.
I
The
think one
109,
of
the 111. Now what do we have? The 105. Okay, we have the 105. How can we get
you might be able to send CMC with that with Chubb and get what are his wide receivers, Ronnie, real quick. What does his wide receivers look like? Because that's what we're talking
because
about is transferring that value over. So if you can't get one of those picks, maybe he's more inclined to give you a wide
I mean,
receiver
I'd take the
for both
109. I'd take the 109 for Chubb if he'd give up
straight up.
if he'd give you the 109. Um, I would, but I no, we always try and get an extra piece, whether it's like a third or just a bench piece, a guy on his bench that he probably don't give a shit about, that possibly has some upside. You always try and get in something a little bit extra. But you could argue that, I mean, listen, Hunt is not there anymore. It's just Chubb. I mean,
Make that
you
case
know,
too, yeah. Also, too, real
they
quick,
shouldn't they should play a little bit better. They shouldn't be down as much. They should be able to
that's
run
a
Chubb. I mean, you just try and throw those points out there.
that's an excellent point because I know in most of these leagues there is some dialogue. So don't hesitate. And I think that's another underrated
Chris
art of
Olave.
trading.
Okay, Chris Olave. How can we get Chris Olave? Is
Chase
that guy
Olave
going to be
Pittman.
able to give up Chris Olave? What do we have to give up to get Chris Olave?
Honestly, dude, I would see if you can unload Traylon Burks. I know that that quarterback situation in Tennessee is terrible, so Traylon Burks' value is pretty bad, but he's still a young guy that showed some potential. Um, you might have to come off CMC, maybe say CMC and Chubb for Olave in the 104.
Can you get a CMC and Chubb for Olave or the 104? What if it's the
I like
109?
that.
Olave. What if it's Olave and the 109?
Start high, bro. Start with the 104 and work your way down because then maybe he'll counter with the 109.
Wandell, I like. I like Wandell as a nice little buy low guy. But yeah, I would go after Olave. Kevin's absolutely right. We got to go
Mm-hmm.
after Olave here.
So Chubb and
I would love to keep
CMC.
I would love to keep Burks, but yeah, can you give up? Can you give up? You want to give up Chubb and CMC? and we get back what Olave
And the
the
104. Ask for
104
that.
or Olave the 109 and Wandell, he won't give up the 104. Can we go for the 109 and Wandell?
But another aspect, Ronnie, when you're making these trades, two real pieces. Number one, engage in the dialogue, as Steve said. Talk the guy up. Use those points. You say Kareem Hunt is no longer going to be there. Nick Chubb is the only running back they have. Talk him up, and also two, start high. Right, start at the highest point, because the worst thing he could say is either no, or he can say counter, and then you come down to the 109. If he doesn't want to give up the 104, then you get Olave in the 109. If he's open to that, you know.
Yeah. And also, do you know what these other GMs in your league are going to do with their draft picks? The 101 to the 104. I'm sure Bijan is probably the 101, but the 102, 103, 104. What are those team needs? Are they going to be taking quarterbacks, or are the quarterbacks going to fall to you? Is Bryce Young and CJ Stroud going to be gone, and you have no chance at those guys at the 105? So yeah, let me know. We are all friendly and don't try to screw each other on, and no one is a dick if declined. Yeah, well, first off, I will say that even your friends will screw you over in fantasy.
We got family members that do that shit.
We have family members that we are just cutthroat. We're fucking savages.
We know what it is. Yeah.
But yeah, so don't think that no one's going to try and screw you over. But then again, at the same time, everybody thinks a little bit differently. So what you might think is a deal that makes no sense whatsoever, and somebody's definitely losing that deal, that person might think they're absolutely winning that deal. So Dynasty is very different, where you might think you're winning the trade, and the other person thinks that they're winning the trade. So it's very subjective. So, but yeah, I like that idea. Can we give up CMC and Chubb for the Olave and the 104? If not, can we get the 109? And can we throw in Wandell in there? Do we have to throw in the 305 also? Fuck it. But then you're getting set. You're getting a wide receiver, so we're transferring over some of that value to wide receiver. Then you've got at least
fuck it, throw
Burks and
fuck,
Ridley.
Fuck it. If you have to throw an MVS in there to make that happen,
MVS is shit. But yeah, if you got no MVS in there, yeah.
If he says, throw in MVS, so he's replacing that wide receiver, at least, in position, fucking throw him in there. Throw Shark in there if you have to. I would really throw anybody in there but Ridley at the wide receiver spot.
Two has Stafford, Lamar, and Jones. Okay, so do you know if they're going to go after a QB, or are they going to go after a position player? Because if they go after a position player and you're able to get that 104 for, say that deal that we talked about, I know that would be, sweet if you could. Cousins, Geno, Howell, and Malik. Yeah, they're definitely going QB. They're definitely going QB there. But yeah, if you can get Olave for, coming off of some of these running backs, if you can grab that 104 or even that 109, I think that definitely starts putting you in a better direction, gives you a couple more assets. And don't forget, these picks you don't have to, make. You can always trade those picks as well. The picks are going to gain value as we go on. So, can you trade, I want to say, can you trade the 105 for Olave straight up? Maybe we worry about QB next year, because you ain't competing next year. Just to tell you now, I don't know if there's anything we can do to automatically compete next year. Can we trade? Do people value the QBs? I know you just started the league. You said last year? Do people really value the QBs yet? And sometimes in these super flexes where you are starting it up, people aren't used to Dynasty. They might not be, all valuing the QBs crazy high just yet. So you start getting.
Oh, so he is in a super flex. I saw one QB. I saw one. I got you. I saw one QB, so automatically I thought and then I see the one SF at the end. Okay, so there's super flex.
No, two as Henry, Connor, Gordon, Gibson, and Stevenson. So yeah, I don't know if they're gonna want to. They may want a QB. Can you get Gibby? Okay, so can you trade can you trade CMC for? You trade CMC for I don't know if you could trade CMC for the 102. Can you trade maybe CMC and Chubb for the 102?
think
Love
that's a
to get
lot.
Gibby back, but at least you lock in the you lock in the QB. Maybe doing Gibbs. Think he's going Gibbs at 102. Makes you getting the 104 even more valuable because you guarantee at least one of the top two guys that are going to come in and pretty much start right away. So that will guarantee you like Bryce or CJ Stroud if that guy at 102 is going Gibbs. That bodes well for you if you're able to get that 104, for that deal we talked about earlier, or something of that nature of that deal that we talked about earlier. I think that'd be great because you definitely need a QB, but you just got to decide what you want to do. Can you get that 104 or even at the 105? Are you able to get one of those top two QBs, or can you just, or let's just use what we have now, transfer everything to wide receiver, and go after QB next year? You have a choice that you can make, and it all depends on what kind of deals you're going to be able to make. So, can we trade Chubb, CMC, and Swift, all three of those guys, and transfer that over to wide receivers, right? The Olaves, the Drake Londons. I don't know if you get Garrett Wilson now that Aaron Rodgers is going over there, but Jerry Judy is another one that I like that you can probably get for a little cheaper. Uh, so try and go after some of those guys. Who else? Who else can we get them to throw out there? Devonta Smith. I don't know if you could get a Jalen Waddle or a St. Brown.
I think that's probably too high in the price range. But listen, if you're giving up
Maybe
Swift,
DK.
I mean, if you're giving up CMC and Chubb, man, swing for the fences, man. Seriously, swing for the fences
Yeah,
because the worst
DK, T. Higgins, B. These are
T
all
Higgins.
guys. DJ Moore. I mean, these are all Drake London. These are all guys that you can probably get that you'd want to build your team around that you can probably get. So take a look at all those guys too. And then Tree may trade a QB for CMC and Tannehill. That's possible too. That's possible too. Go after some of the, we talked about this all offseason and towards the end of last season. All the QBs people are sour on, the Lamar Jacksons, the Deshaun Watsons, the Kyler Murrays. Those are the guys that are, for some reason available right now. Can you trade the 105 and, Swift and go get, Kyler Murray or Deshaun Watson, or even if it's,
My guy
CMC or
Jared
Chubb
Goff.
and, or Chubb in the 105? Can you go get Jared Goff even maybe too, for the 105? Like you got plenty of options, so you just got to decide which route you want to go, But we definitely
Give me
want to go after QBs and wide receivers. That's what we want to do. So in these next 2 years, we want to try and get as many, build up this wide receiver room or this QB room. You just got to decide what you want to go after first, or what is even available in your league. So,
Yep.
depending what you can do.
Give me 1 second, block.
Yeah, you good. I want both Chubb and CMC and same deal for Olave and 104. Bro, if you can do that, that'd be awesome. So, send it out, see what that owner does. Open the dialogue, right? Start talking. Okay, well, what do you think? What is it going to take for me to get the Olave and the 104, and I give you the Chubb and CMC? Is it going to take, MVS? Is it going to take Chark? I want to try and keep Burks if you can. I don't know. It all depends on, is it smarter to package players together or try to make deals really for a second or something like that? It's both. I mean, it all kind of depends. It all kind of depends because you can package guys together if you're going to get one of those elite young assets that you can build your team around. So depending on who you're trying to go get may determine what you have to give up or what kind of package deal that you want to do. Ridley for a second is nice, but at the same time, you might be able to get more value out of just trading Ridley, the name itself, as being, the number one wide receiver for the Jaguars, than it is just trying to take a second for it. So you want to try and go after it both ways. So I would try and do some kind of a package first. Ridley, you might even have to hold on to until the season starts, until he starts playing and people start seeing him out there and people see he's the actual wide receiver one there. So Cal, what's up, Cal? What is Pennyworth pick wise? Looking to sell, but I see the upside. Yeah, the upside is awesome. Realistically, I mean, people are really sour on it. Probably a late second is his actual worth. Um, so I would probably even give, I don't know, mid second to late second. It's tough. Every league's going to be a little bit different, but yeah, man, it all depends. It all depends, Ronnie. But yeah, if you can pull off that Olave and 104 somehow for the CMC and Chubb, you got the third in there. You got the third there too. You can always give up. You got a decent 205 as well. You know, if you've got to give up the 205 and a pick to go and get a young stud, then you can do that as well. So you got a bunch of options. You just got to start going after managers, start going after the teams that need running backs.
Absolutely.
See what wide receivers they have. I mean, we mentioned a bunch of different wide receivers that you can try and go after. Let us know how that goes, and or QBs. I mean, you know, like we said, the sour guys, a Jared Goff guy,
Kyler.
You know, Kyler Watson. Yep, those are guys you can come after. But we want to transfer over that value that you got at the running back position and put that elsewhere on the team, because we don't want declining assets. Those are all declining assets. We want assets that are going to gain value. And be productive for you for years more to come, because, you know, Chubb and CMC, that time is coming sooner or later. And Swift, we just saw his value go down.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, man. That's kind of what we'll be looking at, or what we'll be trying to do. But yeah, you want to build up the wide receiver room, because, you know, you only got to start 2 running backs, and, you know, you can start 5 wide receivers in this format. So, you know, take advantage of that, build up your wide receiver room. We'll worry about running backs when that time comes. But I don't care if you're going into the season with McKinnon, Perrine, Herbert, and Mitchell. Like, as long as you beef up, if you get rid of those other running backs and beef up the wide receiver room and or QB room, then
I think that's a really good.
That's how you're going to start building.
I think that's a really good point too, especially since you most likely, barring Justin Fields turning into, you know, Aaron Rodgers, you know, 5 years ago. I don't think you're going to be contending anyway this upcoming season. So why not just reach for the stars, you know, package these assets right now. CMC and Chubb being the 2 main assets that you should package, get that wide receiver. I think CMC and Chubb for Olave and the 104, that should be able to get you something. Or as Blanc said, if he doesn't want to give up the 104.
At least it opens up the dialogue to try and get it done. Like, what else?
And you know he wants.
Are we close? Are we not close? Are you even interested in it? So
you already know he wants Chubb, so that dialogue is already open, because he made you an offer for Chubb.
Exactly. So yeah, I want to try and get the young elite players first before I just start settling for draft picks as compensation. If that makes sense, right? You know, that's why we're saying the Olave, right? If you get the Olave and the pick, that's great. You know, drafting him, you know, letting guys go like Ridley, just letting them go for a second. That's like, you know, your worst case scenario after you've already talked to everybody in the league, and that's like the only thing that you can get from him. Like,
I still wouldn't
give it up for that.
I still wouldn't do that. I would still wait. I would still wait on Ridley.
At that point, you just wait. But I'm saying, even if, like, let's just say he goes to the, you know, he starts playing or whatever, and we just know what he is. Turns out he's just a, you know, wide receiver 2, and at that point, all you can get is a second. Then so be it. But, you know, if you're only getting a second for now, then like I said, I'll just hold, and I'll try and wait for that value to go up and have to try and package him. So,
oh yeah,
we started asking about Swift. Exactly. Okay, here we go.
So you know he wants running backs. We're
starting to open up things. You know what he wants, and you know you know what you want in return. So, you know, what is it going to take?
Also, I think he'd be more likely to come up off of a guy like Olave because he has Jamar Chase, if I read that correctly. So,
oh yeah.
So I think that's it. It seems like a really good situation for you to get a deal done. He wants running backs, which you have. You need a young stud wide receiver, and you'll take the 104, or like you said, the 109, and maybe throw Wandell in there, especially because he wants the guys you have. So that's a good leverage point that you have now.
Yeah, so if you can get Olave, that'd be great. Because at least you'll have the nice young stud that you can kind of build around. You got Burks, who still has some upside. Jury's still out on him, but
We know Ridley's
yeah,
an
that's
ascending
a
piece. Yeah.
it's a good starting point, and you're getting the 104, which would be awesome. So you could stock up on that. If you're able to draft JSN, I think that would be awesome. If you can come out with CJ Stroud or Bryce Young and JSN, I think that's a fucking awesome smash. You got JSN, and you'll have Olave to go along with Bryce Young or CJ Stroud and Justin Fields. I mean, right there, we're turning this team around. Again, we're probably not competing next year, just realistically, but you're going in the right direction. And now in 2024, you got all your picks as well. Hopefully you'll have some guys that increase in value, and we can kind of just we can move from there, bro.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Get that.
Marty
Get
said
those
that's too much Ohio State. I don't give a shit where they went. We want. Listen, Ohio State is
production.
producing these elite players. It is what it is, bro. He's the only
I
one
think
who has approached me since I put these running backs on the block. Yeah, but don't wait for people to approach you. Approach people also. Approach
so.
people
So
also.
blunt.
They might not say they're interested, but if there's something you want, you got to at least open the talks. I emailed this team to you if that's accessible. I emailed his team to you. Oh, you emailed his
Oh,
team
so
to
we
me.
can see what his team is. Okay, that could help. But really quick, Blanc. I don't know if you touched on these two messages that Ronnie sent. He said, "Is
Yeah.
it smarter to package players together or
Oh
try to
yeah, yeah.
make deals separately?"
Yeah, I did talk about that earlier. I did. I think you were out at that point. But yeah, I basically said it all depends on who you're trying to get. Like when you're trying to get one of those young elite studs, you've got to
You're gonna
try
have
and
to
package
package.
a
Yeah.
couple guys together to try and get those guys that you want. And then I said, it all depends. If you are trying to get rid of somebody or trying to go get somebody, and that is just not working out, like I said, and you have to just take the draft pick instead. Like that's the last option that you want to do almost, unless it's a top first round
hmm
pick or something like that.
So
But yeah, go
so
ahead.
really so really quick, Ronnie. In my experience, and this is one of my general rules, is when you're making trades, you want to keep it to at least less than 4 players in a deal, total in a deal. And I think what happens is when you start making, 3 for 3s or 4 for 3s or 4 for 4s, the waters get too muddy, as we like to say. I know we've used that plenty of times in a ton of our old episodes, where essentially you want to break the deals down into either 1 for 1, 2 for 1, 2 for 2, something like that, because then you know what value you're truly getting back. Once you start adding more players, then it's like, well, this player is better than this player, but I'm getting back this player who's better than this player. So the total value starts to become less tangible. Like it's harder to see what your true value is that you're getting back when you start trading more than 4 players in a total deal. So like a 2 for 2. So I always try and stay away from anything more than 4 total players in the deal. If you're adding in a draft pick or something to sweeten the pot, that's fine. If you're sending 2 players in a pick and you're getting back 2 players, like I'm cool with that. But I try to avoid sending 4 or more total players, like having 4 more total players in the package, because then the value just starts getting really muddy. And it's really hard to determine whether you're getting back the best value or not.
Yeah, Kevin said send 2 trades a day. Yeah, always send out trades. It's the only way that people are going to be, or you're going to open conversation to possibly make a trade. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But at least you tried, and you saw what that guy is looking for. So I moved my picks to get things done. If you need to, if you were able to get Kyler Murray for the 105, and one of your wide receivers or one of those running backs, I mean, then yeah, I'm okay with doing that. I'm not saying that, to go out and just automatically do that. It just, again, it depends on the situation and who you're getting. But if you're getting a QB or a top 12 QB, where in Superflex, that obviously is extremely important, especially if you want to really, really compete. and set yourself up for the long run, then absolutely you can give up your draft pick. So it just depends on, again, who you're trying to go get at the same time.
Yeah, if you're giving up your draft picks, make sure these are young. If you're giving them up for anything, make sure they're young stud core guys. Don't go out and give up your 105 for DeAndre
Stephon Diggs.
Hopkins.
Yeah,
You're
or
not doing that.
Stephon Diggs. Like, yeah,
You're
don't
not,
do that.
you're not doing that right now.
No, we're not doing that. We want to build young elite talent so that we give ourselves a chance to compete. Like we said, next year you're probably not, but you got enough pieces, you got enough assets that you can turn this thing around easily in just one more year, and you can start contending. I think even next year, if you can make some of these right moves and take advantage of some people. So I think you've got a good chance to turn it around. You're in bad shape right now, but we can flip that shit.
Yeah, I think the most critical thing for this is making the right deal with the assets that you have. You want to make sure, like you said, you get that young stud guy. And I think going after Olave, if you could get Olave in that 104 here, now you're setting yourself up.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. That would be awesome. But yeah, any other questions you got out there, Ronnie? Let us know. Stay in touch with us also if you want. Follow us on Instagram, guys. If you're not, Dynasty Life Fantasy. We're always posting shit on there. The DM's always open, so
Hell
always
yeah.
let
And
us know.
if you actually make a trade, let us know. Let us know what the deal was. Let us
Yeah,
know,
let
what
us know what
happened. We're
happens.
always
Let us know what
interested.
happens. I can't go and get the 102 to 104. Do I go Richardson or wide receiver? I want to go Bryce Young or CJ Stroud if that's available. If both of those guys are gone, then I'll take JSN at the number 5. I don't know if I'll take the chance on Anthony Richardson, or I think that's a close one. That's a tough decision. Do you take the chance on Anthony Richardson or Will Levis, or do you just go after JSN, who is, to me at least, going to be at least a sure thing in the NFL, like at worst a wide receiver too. So I think I would rather take that and then try and draft a QB next year, or because there are a couple good QBs coming out next year, or you have to go out and buy one, or you move that 105 on the clock to go and trade for a QB. I mean, there's going to be opportunities when you're on the clock as well to make trades also if certain guys don't fall for you. So that's the way that I would approach it. I think for me, Anthony Richardson and Levis they're a little bit more projects and a little bit more risky than I really want to take. So I'd rather just take the JSN there. But what do you think, Hammer? Can't hear you. Can't hear you, Hammer. 'Cause I don't know if that's just me
Yeah.
or
No, I
what.
was on mute. For me, I'm looking more towards the wide receiver just because Will Levis and Richardson are more projects, and we did talk about them in a previous episode because we're not sure what team they're going to go to, if they're going to play right away, if they're going to be a project quarterback. So, like you said, you want to get that value, and if you want that value at that pick, whatever it is, if it's the 105, go wide receiver because you're going to get the value at least in the immediate, as opposed to not knowing what that long-term quarterback project might be if it's Levis or Richardson. Richardson's intriguing though.
Or can you trade out of it? If you don't feel like you want to take that chance on Richardson or Levis, somebody
Package at
else really
105,
might
yeah.
want you. So at that point in time, while you're on the clock, you can trade that pick for a proven player, a proven young stud player. So yeah, I mean, you've got so many options, going forward. So you're in a good position. Because yeah, I mean, you got some options, or like we said, you can trade for some other QBs. So bit nervous about my fave dynasty team next year. Got Cooks, Zeke, D Hop, and Eckler. Lots of aging talent. Oh yeah, you're in that situation that you don't want to be in. So you want to move those guys now. I know you talked about Brandon Cooks earlier. Obviously, you want to move him, so definitely want to do that. Zeke might be too late at this point. You're gonna have to wait till he finds a spot. You might even have to wait till he scores a fucking touchdown before anybody touches him. But we have to see where he goes. D Hop, same thing. Once we find out where he goes, take advantage of the value, try and come off. Nickler too. We don't know what's going to happen there. So it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah, that is.
It's tough. Hopefully, you've got some other assets where you're not like your team is not that bad. Depends where they get drafted. That will clear up Leverson and Richardson for me. Yeah, I mean, it almost doesn't even matter. Like we know already that they're going to be guys that we're going to have to work with.
Yeah,
To
but the
develop.
organization they get drafted to kind of matters, you
It
know.
does. It does, of course. I just don't think that for me, I want to take the chance, even if they go to a spot that I like. Even I don't know. I don't know. I'd rather just trade for the proven guy. Go give me fucking Kyler Murray or Deshaun Watson. Fuck it. You know.
Yeah,
But
certainly.
yeah,
I
it
mean,
just depends how you want to play it. Or do
yeah,
you want to take the chance and get the next Josh Allen?
for me, it definitely makes a difference. I'm not saying that I wouldn't still rather go the route you're talking about in terms of the best talent
Yeah.
or going after one of those, Deshaun Watson, Kyler Murray kind of guys. But the organization matters, man. Really does.
No, definitely. But yeah, if I had to, if I I would probably just get rid of that pick at that point. Try and get a proven player. Take advantage of somebody that does want one of those guys. Marty said his team is still stacked. Yeah, so you're good then. You might just want to take some picks. Worst comes to worst, but move them. Try and move them for something. Sorry if you said this. Oh, he says no to CMC and Chubb for Olave. If he says no to CMC and Chubb for Olave and 104, is it still good with Olave and the 109 for CMC and Chubb? For me, it is still because I would take
But you
Olave
said,
over. I would take
and you said
Olave
throw in
over.
Wandell if you
Yeah, I
can.
would take Olave over CMC, and I would take Olave over Chubb easy, and I would take the 109 for Chubb, and I would take the 109. Well, maybe I want CMC instead of the 109, but I would rather have Olave than Chubb, so it kind of makes up for it. So for me, like it's an even trade. I'm okay with it, but I would want to see if he'll throw in Wandell with that as well, so you can take away another nice young wide receiver. And see if he'll do that. If you have to throw in your third round pick just to kind of cherry on top, like I'm okay with that too, because you're getting back Wandell, you're
Or
getting
one of those other
Olave,
wide
you're
receivers. Yeah.
getting the 109. I think that would be an awesome trade for you if you could pull that off. But of course, I'd rather want the 104. But yeah, that's what I think about it. Good with that, Hammer.
Yeah, if you're getting Wandell as well, I think that's big. If you get the 109 with Wandell, I think that's big to go along with Olave. So Olave, Wandell, and the 109 for CMC and Chubb. I think that's moving up the board for you because now you're establishing some good ascending value. And even if you don't plan on going into the season with Wandell or whatever, you can always move him as a young piece, a young asset that you have, and also too, listen, and I know Blanc, you say this a lot, where just because you make one trade doesn't mean you're done. Like you could
Yeah.
set that up for a secondary trade.
hmm
So I think that's
You
also
just
another
gaining
critical
value.
element to look at.
Gaining value or gaining I call it just currency, right? You're gaining value, you're gaining currency so that you can use those pieces, those
Hmm.
value and that currency to go out and get the pieces that you want so that you can shape your team. So
Yep.
I think you got, like we said, you got plenty of upside there. You got plenty of options. Guys, what else y'all got? Any other questions before we hop off this? I don't think we really got anything else at the moment. Thanks so much. No problem, man. Appreciate you tuning in. Appreciate you subscribing. We're on 3 nights a week, 2 nights here, one night on 420 Fantasy Hustler Network. So come find us 3 nights a week, talk some Dynasty, chop it up with us, and chill.
Hells yeah, bro.
No, no, stop it, Marty.
No, Marty, we're not
Stop it,
doing that.
Marty.
See, Marty,
Stop.
the fact that you said Akers is a RB1, I would
He's
just,
asking. He's asking.
I would
Question
say,
mark.
oh,
No, he's
oh,
not. No, he's
no.
not.
But if you
He,
have Akers and people want to give you RB1 money for him, then do it.
there's a very small possibility that they don't bring anybody in and Akers can possibly finish as a RB1. I don't think it's a high possibility is the biggest issue. Um, So yeah, I'm not counting on it at all. I'm just out on Akers. Give me a early second, mid second. Let me start over and take a chance on somebody else. We don't know what the offense is going to be. I mean, is Stafford still going to be there? There's rumblings about him being traded. Is he going to play like shit like he did last year? Are they going to be down and not going to be running the ball often because the team sucks? I don't know. Yeah, I'm off of Akers. I'll take him as a if you could buy low on him or
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 throw
get him
in.
as like a throw in, but problem is people still kind of put him on a pedestal a little bit. So
Well, he did have that hot end to the season, and we don't know what the Rams backfield is going to look like. And
this is a good one. Who would you rather have on your team, Wandell or Mooney?
I think I'm leaning Wandell here
Yeah, I'm leaning Wandell too. Bears don't throw enough. They got DJ Moore now. You still
and
got Claypool
Claypool.
there. So yeah, I'm taking Wandell, especially, same coaching staff is there. They used him, right before he got hurt. They started really throwing him the football. Great PPR guy. So yeah, I like Wandell
Mm-hmm.
better, better than Mooney for sure. We'll start trying to get into some buys or sells and stuff. We still got to do the dynasty rankings. I mean, we got plenty of time. We got so much time till the season starts, so we'll keep just churning out content or trying to. I still haven't made my running back tier video. I got to make that probably tomorrow night. I've just been fucking mad busy with shit, but if I can get that out to y'all, I'm gonna get the video out of the 101 to the 106. What are we doing with those picks? What should you do? What should you be looking at? Who you should be looking at? I'm gonna be doing the 107 to the 112. Same thing. Who should we be looking at, or what should we be trying to do with those picks? So there'll be more shit, upcoming. So just stay tuned, y'all. Make sure you got a little notification bell on so you see when we drop any videos or when we're on. I'm still trying to get Hammer to make a little a betting. We're trying to make a little betting section, a betting series on here as well. I don't know if you want to have your buddy on here with you or something, Hammer, but you can make some videos on other shit because not only football, but Hammer does some other betting. He does
Oh
the
my God.
basketball, hockey, baseball. I
I'm
think
at,
a whole bunch of betting shit. So he's the guy for that. So if you like
I
doing
have
any of that, then
I have officially turned into a degenerate. But yeah, the betting thing, I love doing that. Spreads, over unders, total points, all that stuff. So I know it kind of picked up a little bit when we were doing, during the season, especially with the NFL. NFL, obviously, big betting going on there. So yeah, if you guys are doing any betting, shout me out. If you got any questions, especially when we're live, throw them in there. If you want some insights into the bets, I'll be more than happy to drop some info on that.
yeah, but we'll pick up some more subs. We're doing some other content. Do a little bit of other content as well. So that'll be cool. Any running backs around the 107, 110? Yeah, I mean Zach Charbonnet. Is it possible Gibbs falls if all four QBs go early and Bijan? And then JSN, does Gibbs fall to like the 107? I don't know. But yeah, Gibbs and Charbonnet, maybe Bigsby, Evans, depending on where they land. So we'll see. Those are at least my top guys. But yeah, 107 to 110 right now, probably only Charbonnet, like Gibbs and Charbonnet, maybe Bigsby as of right now. We'll see, where they get drafted in the draft capital and all, but we'll see where they go. Couple good spots out there, so it's interesting to see where some of these guys are going to go. Especially a guy like Charbonnet, where he can kind of do it all. He reminds me of like a Josh Jacobs a little bit. Like they ran like the same speed, not crazy great pass catching, but can pass the cat can pass the catch and catch the football. But yeah, that's what I like there. But other than that, guys, I mean, thanks for tuning in. We'll see y'all. I'll see y'all on Wednesday. If you're not following us on Instagram, follow us on Instagram, Dynasty Life Fantasy. Hammer, can you throw the link there in the chat? Or can I? Hold on.
I don't have the link like readily available.
Motherfucker. There we go. I got it. Yeah, I'm gonna throw out the Instagram out there. On Wednesday night, we do mock drafts. We do Dynasty mock draft live. I always put the link there on Instagram, so you can get in any of these drafts with us on Wednesdays. We do it live, so we have some fun. So yeah, Wednesdays we do Dynasty drafts. Thursdays we're on 420 Fantasy Hustler Network. We do Dynasty 101, just anything really that's coming up in the week or anything that we think about. Any kind of, maybe we'll do our wide receiver tiers on Thursday. We'll do some ranking type shit. We'll have some fun. And then Sundays we're always here at the Dynasty Show. So we've got content 3 nights a week. I'll try and put out also a video out at least once a week also. Just keep that shit going. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. Appreciate y'all. But we out of here.